Hello, welcome back to yet another guide. Lately, we've been looking on the more numbers-heavy side of the game, so today we will break it up with something simple. Namely, various quick and easy steps you can take to optimize your time spent at the market board. So without further ado, let's get into it. First, we're going to look at how to gain access to retainers, as well as what they do. Then, we will go through a few rules of thumb, simple steps you can take on the fly in order to improve your profit margin at the market board. Then finally, we'll take a look at a few low-effort options for fledgling crafters and gatherers and the combat mains who seek to make more gil. As per usual, I will split the video into chapters, so feel free to browse the timeline to find what suits you. For this video, all you really need access to is the market board and retainers. Note that the free trial players do not have access to in-game trades, so you will need a Final Fantasy XIV service account with a subscription. Accessing retainers. In order to access the retainer feature, you will have to complete a side quest, An Ill-Conceived Venture, which can be started in either of the three main cities, namely Ul'dah, the Steppes of Nald, New Gridania, or Limsa Lominsa Lower Decks, after you reach level 17. A retainer is your only way to sell items on a market board, with each retainer being able to put up a total of 20 items for sale at a time. Furthermore, they can act as storage, and you can even assign them a class that you yourself has unlocked, and then send them on ventures, in which case they will bring home certain items. By default, each character can have a total of 2 retainers, with the third one becoming available to those who have linked to Companion app. Additional retainers can be purchased through the Mog Station. Once you got your retainers, you are good to go. Rules of thumb. Don't sell lower than vendor price plus 5%. Oftentimes, you will see an item listed for the vendor price, which will be their default price when you put them up, which, after plenty of undercutting, can go far lower than the base price. If you aim to sell an item like this, and it is flooded with entries like this, chances are it won't rise for a long time. Furthermore, since there's a 5% sales tax in most market board scenarios, you will save time, gil, and effort by just selling them to a vendor, rather than trying to peddle it at a vendor price on the market board. Split your stacks. In the case of crafting materials and processables, most of your profit is going to come from bulk sales. This, however, doesn't mean that you should post a full 99 stack just like that. While you can typically get away with this if you're selling items costing less than 100 gil, unless someone is mass crafting for major sales or turn-ins, they aren't going to need your entire 99 stack of coke or pure beads. So, if you put up a 10 stack at 500 gil per item, and someone else puts up a 50 stack of 400 gil per item, your stack will cost 5,000 while theirs will cost 20,000. If they only need 10, they will save 15,000 by purchasing from you, despite you selling the more expensive items. For dedicated crafters, this isn't necessarily a whole lot, but remember that the majority of the player base has a wealth of less than 2 millions. It adds up. If you want to be ahead of the curve, look at what your material of choice can be used to craft and sell multiples of what the recipe needs. Don't get caught in an undercutting war. While staying on top of the sales list by matching the lowest price or bidding 1 gil less is a good idea in order to get seen, and because people tend to go for the lower price mark, this can sometimes lead to rapid-fire undercuts. This, in turn, can very quickly tank the price, and if you go too low, your foe of the day might see fit to buy your product and resell it at a marked up price. A hefty undercut can be nice if you really need to sell an item quickly, but for the most part, it is a loss of long-term profits. The main exception would be newly released sellable outfits, glamour items, emotes, and pets, as the supply increases while demand decreases, thus pushing the price further and further down every hour after release, with no hope of bouncing back up. Resell obscure items. While I will never recommend buying off the market board and marking it up as a viable way to make gil, you can get away with this with a couple of NPCs. Some NPC vendors only open up after certain side quests, or has a sales list so enigmatic and obscure that people will just resign themselves to purchasing off the market board. Other times, laziness drives the economy and people will jump at the chance of paying double price to avoid walking somewhere. While most of the people that do this have their own go-to items that they guard closely, there are many sources of items that can turn a profit. Do a bit of searching, a bit of market board prospecting, and see what can net you a tidy sum. Which brings us to the next point. Check both prices and sales history. Sometimes you find that one market that just seems too good to be true. An item you can get for 5,000 gil has one entry at 500,000? Score! However, as always, when something seems too good to be true, it often isn't true. There is a second button you can click, namely History. Here, you can see a list of previous sales including prices and time and frequency of sales. This is often a better indicator of an item's value than the current listed price. Always sell something. This should go without saying, but every sale you don't make is gil you lose out on. For most people, sales slots will be limited to 40 or 60. If something you don't need can sell for a profit there, fill the slots the best you can to ensure that you maximize both your long and short-term profit. So sell the items below when a price to a vendor, update the prices of your sellables every now and then, and let it rip. For gatherers, crafters, and combat mates. In my guides on crafters and gatherers, I mentioned that low and mid-end crafting and gathering is a viable way of making gil. This is true for two main reasons. First off, high-end crafting and gathering requires high-quality crafted gear with a lot of melding. Getting to a point where you can comfortably craft the items you need to sell, or to a point where you can sell high-end materials in bulk, can cost you anywhere between 2 and 20 million gil, maybe even more depending on RNG. From the get-go, that is a huge sum you save by sticking to items that doesn't have to be high quality, such as glamours, pets, and furniture, and some regular materials used to craft those. Secondly, a large amount of the most recent items are listed from a crafter or gatherer's surplus, leftovers, or unwanted crafts. As a result, there tends to be a higher market density for these items, leading not only to a volatile market, but a very competitive one. On the flip side, older crafted items, glamours, and a lot of furniture tends to be easy to produce, sell well, but also exist in scarcity because few people ever revisit that content or stretch of gathering. So, if you don't mind digging in, getting comfortable and watching some crunchy flicks while gathering and processing level 40 to 60 logs or the equivalents and subsequent crafts, you can seriously fatten up your gil pouch. Likewise, older combat content has some great opportunities in former drops. The Calls of Bahamut drop such things as woodsore, elegant leather, and silk, which are all sought after as they're used to craft several glamour items. Furthermore, all extreme trials have their own corresponding drops which can be used to craft their respective weapons. Currently, since a lot of these extremes are soloable when going in as an underlevel party, and quick fights to boot, the prices on these items are currently low. However, when Endwalker hits and your numbers get crunched, underleveled parties will have a harder time with most content, and one can assume that scarcity and prices will increase. This, in turn, is true for a lot of items, so have a look around and see what you can fight your way to. Your buyers puts value on convenience, and if you can fulfill the demand for that, you will find yourself quite well off. And with that, we are off. In summary, sell smart, sell effectively, and provide that which has a greater demand than supply. If you found this video helpful, feel free to like and subscribe, and show that notification bell some love. As always, I hope you have a great day and a great week. Have a nice one!